Yeah, so we're live at this point. So this is going to be kind of a weird one with
To say the least.
well, so a few moons ago we did the oh, I think Tab finally got back to me. Let's see here. No, that was you. Man, anyway, what a disappointment.
Jerk.
I'm expecting Tab, it's just El Chaco again. No, so we had the Mad Cucks episode with the both of us and our old buddy Mad Cucks coming back, dusting off the crowns, and that was real fun. But we haven't had an episode of just me and you for I
Couple years
think
now.
since like 2018, 2019, whenever we did that CERN flu episode. Remember with the Mandela effect?
Yeah. What number was it? It was 123, episode 123, apparently. Just
Yep.
found that out. Just found that out recently.
Yeah, one, two. I mean, and it makes sense. So it's gonna go like way back to original energy here.
I hope you know the shtick at the beginning. I don't know it off by heart, and I never do it. Right? So
I do, but
south,
no. What I need
and
you
then,
to do is get all the tiers written down in the. Hey, somebody in the chat over here, just drop all the Patreon tiers, because Tab always reads that, and I've gotten in pure Uncle Buck fashion, I've gotten supremely lazy about that. I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we got the how many buck tiers? We got the buck tiers are the ones I'm going to cry whenever we really biff it. A heads up for everyone, for you're watching live, soundboard not working. Straight up not working. There's not going to be any sounds. Probably not going to be any voicemails.
I'll tell you what, though. Maybe in the voicemail section, if people wanted to, if there's enough viewers watching this and they want to write a write a soliloquy or something.
Yeah, write a soliloquy in the comments, and we'll read that and we'll respond to it. And it'll be just, see, this is the original 2016 energy of we don't know what we're doing at all.
I love when you say 2016 energy, because I don't know how many episodes we actually put out in 2016, because it was like so tight towards the end of the. I don't know.
Well, we did the 4 test episodes.
Yeah.
Where I was Billy Bob and you were Jake the Canadian.
Right.
I mean, like, that's a deep dive. And then we did I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6. We started right at the end of November with Larry Blydner, and he told us we were stupid, which we were and are. And like, we were off to the races, man. This horrible who am I thinking of? Sisyphus started rolling this boulder up the hill.
Yeah.
And here we are. Oh, he's got the shades. He's got the shades.
Yeah.
All right.
I need them.
All right. So, Tab, since you're editing the episode, you can just go ahead and add the intro in.
Hello,
everyone, and welcome back to Here's What I Don't Get, from north to south, east to west, the only see, I messed it up already. The only intercontinental podcast to tackle all of life's toughest issues. I'm your host, Uncle Buck, from the red state of North Carolina, and with me today, you know him as the former host of Buck and Chaco, but he's my good buddy, El Chaco.
let me in, cha Buck. It's you and me again. It's the two of us.
It's weird. It's like the nostalgia is always fun.
Yeah, what? We're both in new homes, new studios for
new studios. But like, and maybe we've grown in personal maturity, but we have not grown in professionalism at all. At least not on mine.
we've regressed.
I used to have a cough button. That thing is nowhere to be found. Actually, I know exactly where it's at. It's over there in the corner, and it's hooked up for my band to use.
What? For your how does your band use it then?
Well, so the cough button was actually just a whole soundboard. And so now it's the drum mixes back into Russ's ears.
Gotcha.
However it works. And then we got like microphones set up over here. We got this whole shtick going on.
Oh,
We
look
got
at
the rest of my.
you.
Yeah, you see now
See,
we can like move cameras around. My whole studio is a gigantic
fancy,
mess. We have
fancy,
moving
fancy.
cameras these days.
You know,
So
cameras these days, because I don't think you and I ever really had any streaming video episodes, just the two of us. This is actually the first time it's ever been Buck and Chaco streaming live on video. This is the very first time. And maybe not the last time. We'll see how it goes.
maybe not the last time. Maybe for season 11, it'll be just me and you again when Tab finally strokes out
If
from
we're
all the
not
rage.
all in the gulag by that point in time.
Season 11 is just going to be me in my basement staring at the wall going,
Season 11 is going to
hour.
be two Chinese Communist Party members with
Here's
sunglasses with
don't
Xi
get.
Jinping on them.
Yeah.
Oh man, how you been? I'm so glad that you were able to get back in time for like my weird time, like because like we're 2 hours apart, so like
Yeah.
you're kind of like missing dinner time because of this, whereas I
Well,
just put the kids to bed.
see, here's the funny thing. And it used to be reversed. It used to be I was the one late at night and you were missing dinner. But there's
That's
not
right.
going to be any dinner tonight because we have the stomach bug in the Buck household.
Oh no.
Annabelle, who is now 10 years old, came down with it last night. She was up barfing her guts out all night. Ian does not seem to have it. I think he's might be having a waffle or something. I'm not hungry. Like, just
Oh, so you're
stressed.
next. You're on deck. you're coming next. That's the other thing too,
No.
because it's like your daughter, right? So like technically speaking, like statistically speaking, your daughter will have more like biologically in similar to you than your son, right? Because of it's something to do with like I think it's because like the Y chromosome from you that goes into making your son is weaker expressing than the X chromosome from the mom. I don't need to get too far into this, but what I've always understood is that daughters take more after their dads and sons take way more after their mothers. And like you'll have guys who look like their dad a little bit, but for the most part, like it's like a 60-40 thing. But like in our household, if my daughter is going to get sick, right, then there's a good chance I'm going to. But like my son and my wife have pretty much like the exact same allergies and other kind of things that hit. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you're screwed, pal. Your daughter's
You see, here's the thing about now. Well, let me back up. I do want to address this. You are absolutely right about Annabelle is like the little girl version of me, and it's weird. Like she is so much like me, and so I started recognizing this when she was pretty little, because I would watch her do things, and I may have said this on the show before. I would watch her do things, and I would recognize the thought process that went into this. I'd be like, oh. I know why she did that. I know what she was thinking at that moment. And then, and so as she's grown, she would like have certain questions. And I was like, man, I remember having that question. I remember the train of thought that got me. Oh man. And so now, she has a lot of my quirks, and my poor wife does not know what to do about this. Like, cause now there's two of us and I am enough to deal with. Like, I wouldn't wish me on just about anybody. And now there's two. Now, but you're also correct in that my son, Ian, takes after his mom's side of the family. For a little bit, he looked like me, or my family anyway, when he was born. He had some of the Buck family traits, the Buckstein traits. But those quickly gave way, and he began to look exactly like Aunt Buck's dad.
Oh, interesting.
Like in the face.
There
like
you go. There's that weave.
Yeah.
Right.
You compare pictures, and it's like, oh, yeah.
Yep.
So there are some traits from my side that are still on him and that still remain, like the hair and whatnot. But and his temperament is a lot like hers, and the way his brain works. And so it's really strange how the cross bonding takes place.
No kidding.
But that boy is also completely wide open all the time. So like there's no, I don't remember being this way as a kid. I had, my brother is 9.5 years older than me, so I was basically an only child for most of it. And I was like all chill as far as I can remember. I mean, I'm sure my parents will tell you otherwise. But I was like, I was not a very attention needy child. I was like, I was like a cat. Like, leave me alone. I'll come to you occasionally. Give me food. And like, just for the most part, it's like I was off by myself, and I'm still kind of that way. Aunt Buck is not that way. She likes being around people all the time. She's very community oriented. And my son Ian is, if he's not like completely up your butt 100% of the time, it's because you've distracted him with something.
See, man,
And
Ian is like part of the number one part of, like, he's like a big part of my memory of North Carolina, just like the sheer amount of questions and like,
oh my
and like,
gosh,
oh, they were, and because like it was you, me, and him hanging out for a good chunk of that one day at
yeah,
least, and I enjoyed
yeah,
every minute of it, but I just love that age grouping where, cause you get these questions that you go like, cause I'm glad you brought up about your daughter. Cause it's like, sometimes when you like, kids can blow your mind sometimes with like where their mind goes, like what is important to them versus like, what, cause like, I'll never forget the question he was asking me was about the theater, the movie theater in my
oh, the movie
hometown.
theater, yeah,
And he
yeah, I
wanted to
remember
know,
those.
he wanted to know, he was like, how big is it? And how big is the movie theater? And like, what, like,
Like, what's the
do you
square
go to the
footage we're
movie
talking
block?
about? How many of my movie theaters fit inside yours? Because obviously it
Well,
has
that
to be
was the
bigger if you're
thing.
from somewhere else.
That's the thing, right? Like, cause it was like, cause at the time I was like already a few years out of not going to movies. And I was like, they're big. There's some big movies, but like how big? I was like,
Yeah,
and the other thing is I don't know his frame of reference. Like I can't say to him like, how big is your school gymnasium? I don't know. It's big. It's a big
there's not
theater.
one. So there's no, yeah, no, and you're right. And now that you've mentioned that, I do remember he would not leave you alone about that. Didn't we go to like JB's, get a hot dog?
Dude, we went to
Uh,
food, like just food all over the place.
well, yeah, we
JB's and
went,
the hot dog, that was great. Like, that was a loaded hot dog too. That was
oh
their
yeah, it was like
shtick, right?
mustard, onions, chili slaw. I wanted you to get the whole North Carolina experience, which
Oh, I
involves like
got it.
Bojangles for breakfast,
Yeah, yeah, and I love
Chick-fil-A,
that. Yeah.
JB's, and guns. So, and
And see,
being and
all of
being
that, except for the guns, could kill me now. Like these days, right, man? Like, I don't know what turned on me, but like I can't I can't pack it in the way I used to be able to pack it in terms of like fried food. Like I can pick one meal in a 48-hour period with those kind of things in there. Otherwise, I'm toast. I'm toast. So I guess I'm not going to be moving to North Carolina, even though I've got the Carolina on my mind. Little art piece that was a nice gift from you and your family and your wife. I
oh yeah,
think from Cracker Barrel. Was that Cracker Barrel?
something like that. I don't remember. I do
Yeah,
know we did
yeah.
go to Cracker Barrel. Aunt Buck and I took you and your wife, and it was a very lovely time.
That was
And
awesome.
anytime we go to Raleigh now, like, hey, there's that Cracker Barrel that we went with. So,
Famous Cracker Barrel.
yeah, it's world famous now. This is where the meeting of the minds finally took place. Um,
Oh man.
so
So what else is going on in your neck of the woods these days?
uh, unmitigated debt, family
Ah,
members sick.
yeah.
Uh,
So it's the end of the world in your place where you are at too, because like we're
yeah,
facing the apocalypse here, and I don't know if you've been reading about this. I mean, I didn't save it for anything in the news section or anything like that, but you've been following this like chicken stuff, like the eggs and like the chicken shortage and like chicken feed is all weird and like places are getting burned down and all that kind of stuff. You've been following this?
I've followed like I'll catch snippets here and there. I really dodge the news as much as possible these
Okay,
days, for the
I'll
sake of my
bring you up
sanity.
to
But
speed a bit.
yeah, I do
I'll
know that
bring you
like
up to speed a
a
bit.
chicken plant just burned down or something.
Many, like multiple chicken plants. And here's the thing, like if you've ever been in one, like you look out on the floor, it's like metal cages and like chickens, right?
Oh,
Like it's not like it's sitting in kerosene or like a bunch of straw or anything.
it's all those flammable
What I'm trying to
feathers.
say is there's not a lot of flammables other than the chickens themselves that could go up in flames. It's weird. And there's
Those chickens on a steady diet of sphagnum. Just
but so what's going on right now is there's so we have chickens now, right? And I got them last year. I was wanting to get chickens right away because like they were doing a trial run of an egg shortage down here in Paraguay, where all of a sudden for like 10 days, you couldn't get a dozen eggs anywhere, like literally anywhere. There was not a single store, and they were just boom, gone. And then they were back again, no problem. And like, and they gave us this, rigmarole story about, oh, it's like about, contraband eggs, like being brought in from like Argentina and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Eggs.
Yeah. And I was like, that doesn't
guy with the jacket. Like,
yeah.
Hey, I got what you need, man.
Then he hears a siren and closes his jacket too fast, and a bunch of eggs crack on him. So we got our own chickens now, and they were, there's like, I think there's like four girl chickens, and then we have a rooster, and they were putting off like a few eggs a day, like, I mean, not every day does each chicken put out anything, but then we got to our first round of brooding, like where they lay the eggs and then they're gonna hatch new chicks. So we finally got our first round of baby chicks that are just adorable. But and like we're the kids keep going and checking in on them because there was like 11 eggs that they were sitting on, and like so far 4 have hatched. But unfortunately we've only got 3 of these little guys left because one of them passed on earlier today. And and my kids,
F in like the chats, boys.
Yeah, F in the chats for the chick that didn't even get a name. But the sad part is that my kids were like, we didn't even get a chance to name it yet. And I was like, you guys got to stop naming the chickens. Please don't name the chickens. Cause like, I'm going to have to go out there someday and kill the chicken. We're going to be like eating the chicken. You're going to be like calling it by its name at the dinner table.
Ernesto, yeah.
Do that. Cause like, I think I mentioned before, yeah, we're like with a pig, we're just going to name them all like communist names. Like, just so, you don't like, we're going to have like
Che and
yeah, exactly.
Mao,
yeah. Stalin and all this kind of stuff. We just make them pigs. But like my kids gave the chickens like kind of cute names. Well, okay, of course, like the rooster's name is Foghorn. Then we have they're all like named after foods, but like as the colors. So like one of them is black and white, so they call it Oreo. The other one's like vanilla, and then another one's called Fudge. And then the mama hen that's like sitting on the eggs and incubating them, her name's Nugget. So we got the chicken named Nugget. Yeah, the next one's, I guess maybe that's the name of the dead chick.
Omelet, yeah.
Omelet, poor little omelet. But,
sandwich.
So
Southern fried, yeah. Start naming them that.
So who should be going first this week? I mean, like, do you have a preference?
I'll tell you what, since I introduced the show, I will let you take the first swing, step back up to the plate, and throw me your pitch, good buddy. Of course, you don't step up to the plate and throw a pitch. I just really biffed it. So,
here's what I don't get. No, that's terrible. Didn't work. Where are we at here? Let's try that again.
Hold on a second. I'll just do this. I'll pull up Discord where Tab put the stuff.
Professional. I'm so glad. I hope that there's a bunch of like Patreon and subscribers in here seeing how good their production dollars are being spent. Right, here we go.
Say it again.
Here's what I don't get. Huh. That's much better.
It's a terrible way to do this.
Brainwave fuckery. All right.
Okay.
Brainwave fuckery. I'm talking
like
about
binaural beats or what?
I'm talking about brain computer interface. Now, I mean, I know that Elon Musk talks about his Neuralink, and then you've got that that little goblin from the World Economic Forum,
Klaus Schwab.
No, his name is Yuval Noah Harari. Anyways, Yuval
Harari.
Noah Harari. This guy's the worst. I mean, he's just the worst. And all these guys, like they're talking about how we're moving closer and closer to AI being in our brains. And I don't think that's a good idea. What's been startling me is I pay attention to this because I got clients that deal with like concussion therapy, like treatments for concussions. And I've got other clients that talk about dealing with like severe post-traumatic stress disorder or depression. And then, there's lots of different things that they're trying. They're trying like magic mushrooms. They're trying like, some companies are trying ketamine and trying other different types of things. But then you keep seeing these like, the occasional story where some like chick is wearing like a giant helmet with a bunch of like stuff sticking out of it. And like
Lewis Tully.
Yeah, just like Lewis Tully. Exactly. And they're acting as if, okay, so I mean, everything is always like couched in like, the path, the road, the good intentions is paved with, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. And then these guys, like, what they're doing is they're working on technology that can basically read your brain waves. So, I mean, so for starters, they're talking about people who are depressed. And a lot of times when you're trying to diagnose depression and you're trying to like get to the bottom of it and like what the source is and where they're at, people who are depressed, they don't always give the honest answer because they're depressed or they're not feeling so good about things. So they're developing this technology that will basically you can hook up to this person's head and you can see if they have a true or false reaction to something. So basically like an in your brain lie detector test. Okay.
Yeah. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. It sounds kind of horrible, but that's not where they're stopping. Okay. So like I was just reading about this. They're doing another test on they're working on a technology that can remotely tell what music you're listening to. Right. So they can tell by your brain. I mean, maybe they're just like really sonically hearing what's in your headphones, but they're going to be able to tell what music you're listening to, which brings us back to this Yuval Noah Harari, the rat. He's a rat. He looks like a rat who's from the World Economic Forum, the worst person alive. Like the worst. Like if I found out he was the Antichrist, I would be like, yeah, I told you. Like clearly that's the guy. Like he's the one. So this guy, you can find him on YouTube. There's lots of clips of him saying this kind of stuff, but he comes out and he's like, he's like reveling in this. He likes this. He's like, those days where you have freedom of liberty in your own thoughts and your own thinking and those days are over. Those days are coming to an end. And like, he's like talking about it as if like, because he believes that you can program a human brain and change our personalities and change our attitudes about things. But then he also like has this like weird thing where he like warns you about like what the worst communist dictator in the world would do with this technology, or what AI would do with this technology. And, I got to thinking about it and it's like, man, can we just fucking Miles Dyson this guy yet? Can we just like, I mean, like, I'm not calling for violence. I'm just saying, can we just like make sure that this guy doesn't make Skynet at this point in time? Like, cause this is ridiculous.
Calling for violence, but I'm going to walk in this direction doing this number. And if he happens to get in my way,
just saying, like, this guy is, oh man, like, he's going to bring about the biblical apocalypse, isn't he? Like this guy, he bugs me really bad. And I don't really like this idea that, like, for example, they give the example of like, say you're living in North Korea, right? And your leader gives this big speech, and everybody in North Korea has been given, you know, like you got your Fitbit, you know, like people got their Fitbit, and the Fitbit tells them like, oh yeah, this is like your how many steps you walked, and it'll tell you when you're sleeping, how your sleep is, and like how your how your heart rate is, and all this. It's got a lot of good bio information on there, and we're just like 1 or 2 steps away from, you know, them having that chip in your brain, or being able to, you know, oh, we can tell what music he's listening to. You'll be able to tell, like, if you're listening to a thing, you're like, if you're smiling, like try not get killed by dear leader and clapping, but in your brain, you're like, this fucking guy is
sending off a little red flag, like
yeah.
not genuine,
not
not genuine, not genuine.
They're just going to take you to the gulag, right? And that's the thing. Okay, so Soberum, I just wrote in, I'm not religious. Sorry to hear that. But this whole putting a chip in your brain is not just an affront to God, correct? But humanity itself. Yes, absolutely. Imagine every time you lie and tell that fat broad at work she looks good, and you beep. Well, that
was the first thing I thought was
lying.
Like that's like chicks are going to misuse this. Like if there's a thing in your brain that can tell you when you're lying, you're never, like, the fight is going to happen when your wife asks you, do I look good in this?
Well,
like,
here's the thing you're going to find out, though, is they lie all the time too.
Well, you see, but as men, we can turn off, we can just choose to ignore. Like, yes, I know she's lying, I want to believe the lie. But for like, and Aunt Buck does not do this, specifically Aunt Buck does not do this, but like the whole, like, lie to me and tell me this looks good, like, no, oh boy. So just imagine. But also what you said about North Korea, that already happens to a certain degree, right? Whenever who was Kim Jong's dad that died, Kim Jong Il, was it?
Kim Jong Il, yeah.
So he died, they would like walk by your house to make sure you were crying loud enough.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, you know, they say it as if like there's just this one little country over here that does that. It's like, dude, we're like 2 steps away from that. You know,
at all times.
We've already got wrong think. And
yes,
what the problem with this is too, is this is getting us 1 step closer to pre-crime. So are you familiar with the term pre-crime? Minority Report? Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So I haven't actually seen the movie, but I understand the concept, and you are right. Like, you are likely to commit a crime. We're just going to go ahead and euthanize you now.
Well, and that's the thing. I get the feeling sometimes, like, because your phone is always listening to you, and if you don't think it is, you're lying to yourself. But your phone is always listening to you. And it's funny because actually, well, it's not funny. There's a guy that I go to the same church as, who's from the Czech Republic, and he's like he's like a scrupulous guy. He's like real, you know, like rigid about things. Like he's like always like, you know, oh no, am I doing this wrong or am I doing that wrong? And he had a very good point. He said to me, is it okay that a priest has his phone on with him in the confessional? I was like, no, it's not okay. That's not okay at all. And like, there are priests that do that, and they say, oh, it's just to like know the time. It's like, wear a watch. I'll buy you a watch. Like, you don't have that
hang on the wall.
Exactly. You could put a little digital timer in the confessional with you. So I just, you know, like, we're so much closer to this pre-crime thing, but this, like, so it's an interesting thing there. The other thing about brainwave fuckery is you brought up about, like, what is it, binaural beats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that, they study the heck out of that stuff a lot. And I just read another study about this where they were saying that, you know, if you play the right kind of rhythm or beats or something while an adult is, like, for adult learning, this will help. So like you're listening to a thing and it helps you to learn. I don't know if I trust that though. It seems a little bit MK Ultra to me, you know?
So
go ahead.
First off, let's explain what binaural beats are, because I don't know if everyone is aware of that, because you and I have done deep dives into this kind of thing independently of each other. So a binaural beat is where you have like earbuds in or earphones, and they're both playing a tone, but the tones are a few, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, they're out of sync. They're just like
they're slightly out of sync. So one is like hertz. They're a few hertz off. So one is this many hertz, and this one is this many hertz minus 3. And what
Mhm.
happens is it creates this pulsing sound. Each ear hears a solid tone, but when your brain interprets them together, it's like a woom, 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 woom,
Yeah.
woom.
It's a little
And
jarring.
well, and what happens is then that your brain waves are supposed to somehow line up with that. And like that does happen. Like it's
Yeah.
I've years ago I toyed around with them, and like you will get yourself into a weird state of mind. But on the other end of that, there's like EMDR therapy. Have you heard of that?
I have actually, yeah. But maybe explain it a little bit better for the listeners who are
So
listening, especially for the listeners who are listening in their headphones right now. With their binaural beats going. I'm
yeah,
talking from the
yeah.
left. I'm talking from the right. All right. Anyway,
So EMDR therapy, it doesn't work through audio. It works. I mean, I guess it can work through audio. Let me
oh, it's the
back up.
light thing, isn't it?
Oh no, this one, the one that I experienced, it went with these little devices that you hold in your hands. So I'm going to back up and tell a quick story, and I'll make it very, very fast.
It's like
Sword fighting,
Scientology.
sword fighting buddy. You remember him, right? I used to talk about him on the
Yes.
show, and he passed away last year
Yeah.
or 2 years ago. He passed
Yeah.
away from COVID. He was murdered. It was a whole thing. The medical staff murdered him.
May God have mercy on him.
They did that. Well,
Yeah.
they sedated him and then did stuff against his wishes, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was a very traumatic thing to me. Like he and I have been best friends for 20 years. It really messed me up in a bad way. So my wife suggested that I go see this counselor, this Christian counselor that she's familiar with, and she had gone to once or twice. And I said, well, whatever, to kind of help deal with processing the trauma, which I'm okay with. I know tabs against therapy for like the yes man type of therapy that was discussed in a previous episode. This is not what that was. This was like processing trauma. And one of the things she did was she had this little device. She said, we're going to do EMDR therapy. And she explained it briefly. This device has these little they look almost like Wii nunchucks. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You hold one in each hand and they vibrate like right, left, right, left, right, left in a certain pattern. So that then it does the same principle as your brain waves kind of line up with it in such a way that it's not necessarily hypnotic, but it does allow you to enter a brain state where you can access memories more readily. So then I was able to like I had actually blocked out part of that day, and I was able to remember it and then process the things that happened.
Interesting.
So, but anyway, so that's the kind of brainwave stuff on that level that you're talking about. Continue.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I tested around with, I think, binaural beats of some sort many years ago.
Yeah.
And I would like, I would put on the headphones and I would do this thing, this alpha beta wave thing or whatever, and I'd listen to it. And yeah, it messed me up. Actually, that messed me up pretty bad. Actually, I remember one where it was like, just for whatever reason, because my eyes were closed, and just the way that the motion of the sound was, it made me feel like I was like kind of rocking, like in a
It's
boat,
hypnotic.
you know? Yeah, but I was laying like a log on my bed, but I felt like I was rolling back and forth. And then at a certain point, I felt like I had rolled all the way over onto my face, but I hadn't moved. And it felt it made me sick. I immediately I was like, this is not good. And it's probably not good for you. I bet there's probably some way of they'll look at it someday in the future and be like, it looks like leeching at this point. It's like probably not good for your brain.
Certain people will use that to induce out of body experiences or astral
Which you
travel.
shouldn't be inducing. Yeah.
No, I'm not endorsing that at all.
Traveling. But it's so going back to like the brainwaves thing, it's like, it's like I just don't like this idea, like that the literal tinfoil hat wearers are right. Like, I mean, literal people who feel like they need to shield their brain, because at a certain point in time, these kind of things seem to be coming down the pipe. And going back to the Neuralink thing, like they claim that they're only testing it on like monkeys and stuff. I don't believe that. I'm not. I bet Elon's got one in already. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know, man. Like, and it always gets tied back to like AI, and I don't know what to think about AI anymore. Like, I mean, I know we keep
I know
talking
what to
about it
think about it.
recently. I don't like it. I don't like it any.
No,
I
it's not good at
no.
all. So certain like there was a like AI in a video game is one thing, right?
Yes. Yeah, you want
But
the
we've already
enemy in the game to be bad, like, at least challenging.
yeah. But what's happened is like you've seen the AI art that's been coming out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like we've already got kind of a Turing test for AI art. Like if you see a picture of someone, they're already making like photorealistic images of people that are completely this person never existed, and the only way to tell is like look at the fingers and the teeth, right?
And see, that's I was going to bring this up, and you know what? Because it's just the two of us. I'm going to get a little bit Buck and Chaco
Hey,
about
go
this.
for it. The
Um,
cat's away, the mice can play.
exactly. And I apologize in advance. Sobram, I hope you find this interesting, even if you're not religious. I hope you find this interesting.
You will be shortly.
Yeah, this is a thing. So they, there's always a saying that like, the devil can't create anything of beauty, right? Everything that the devil does is some sort of like a
Corruption.
mimicry or corrupted version. And it's like, like, cause he was like the angel of light, and he was seen as like, Lucifer was seen as the angel of light, and he was the most beautiful creature, the most beautiful angel. And then yet he's like this hideous demonish, anyways, I know there's going to be
Right.
a bunch of people who disagree with that lore, but what my point
Who
is,
cares?
if you go into like look at like communist Soviet Russia, and you see like the buildings that they did like after the fact, they're all horrible. Like every communist architecture that I've seen is horrible. Communist art is horrible. Communist music is terrible. Communist ain't like anything that's like a communist painting or anything like that is just freaking the worst. And
Communist
so I'm
women are
looking at this.
extremely ugly.
Yeah, and I started like for my work, right? Like I know that my days are super numbered, like super numbered now. Like, and it's
Okay.
eating me up. It's eating me up. But like it's getting there, right? Because like the AI is, thanks be to God, because it's limited to like 2021 in terms of its like knowledge. It doesn't know the news. It doesn't know like anything new. Like that's one of the major things keeping my job. But like it's only a matter of time. And the thing is that like you look at it and it's like it has the writing and it can do it. Like I've tested this thing. I've had it write scenes. I've had it write dialogue. And it's crisp. Okay. So it's crisp. It's correct. It's grammatically correct. It's done really well. But like the thing that is bugging me about it the most is it, like, you can tell it has no soul, right?
Yeah.
Like you can just totally tell it has no soul. It can't, and any idea that it comes up with on its own is contrived and crappy and like, like
Regurgitated.
well, it's like it's not getting it doesn't get why humans like things or don't like things. And then like with the art, so I started playing around with that Mid Journey, which is another AI generative art thing, and like, so with my job I have to make landing pages, and a lot of times I have to kind of have like stock photos and stuff to throw in there. And I thought, hey man, I'll play with this thing and I can make my own photos that go with my articles. But the thing is that like what bothers me about it, yeah, AI lawyers are coming, definitely. The thing that's the thing that's outright terrifying about it is like you can put into this thing, you can put it the most beautiful woman in the world who's a waitress or something like that. It'll just like, and like 5 seconds later, it's got this like, this cute girl like smiling. She got a little waitress outfit on and stuff like that. But then she's got like 10 fingers, like on one hand. It's like it's just like this weird.
Most of them have 10 fingers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No, I mean 10 fingers on one hand, like it's or just something off. And I was just thinking about it the other day. I'm like, like how much of the internet is written by AI now? Like there's a good chunk of it. I think we're probably at the point where it's probably way higher, like way higher than it's ever been. How many Twitter people, Twitter accounts that you deal with are just bots, and then you've got this art that's all fake. and you start to have a bit of an existential crisis once you start to think about it, because you're like, everything I'm reading is fake or contrived or a mockery. And then you've got all this fake art, and it's like fake beauty, and it's like fake everything like that. You type, like, I've typed in, like, give me a retro 80s brand new logo for the Calgary Flames hockey team, right? And it'll do a thing, but like it, and you told it like Calgary Flames, like, and then it's got like the letters around it's like some weird like other word that doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't have the ability to do like the words as you asked it to. So it's like it's off. And it's like, man, if you spend too much time like generating these things, or generating things on the chat GPT or anything like that, like this is not going to be good for people, because what's going to end up happening is that we're going to have stories written by computers, art made by computers, music made by computers. And there's going to come a time where you're going to be in the future and you're going to be like, man, like, I just want to read a book written by a real human being, or I just want to see a movie starring a real human being. And I just want to like talk to a real human being, because it just feels like that this everything is just shunting you towards the metaverse. And you know, you can put those things on, and like, dude, like Facebook has been doing this kind of research on how to tell, because they want to know your thoughts. Like, they just straight up want to know your thoughts, and they want to get to the point where they can get it like remotely somehow through your phone. And they already get it by like listening in on 98% of your conversations.
Or watching how you scroll.
What's that? Sorry, you cut out for a second.
They watch how you scroll your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, because they can already.
Go ahead.
So they have already figured out. A buddy of mine was telling me about this. Facebook, and there's been documentaries about it. It's all over the place. Like Facebook, for instance, you'll be scrolling through your feed, and something catches your eye for a tenth of a second, right? You just pause, and then you're gone. Maybe not a tenth of a second, but you pause just briefly. Wait, what was that? Oh, never mind.
It thinks about that though. It
catches
that.
what caught your eye.
Yeah.
And so they have already started looking at, like, the example that was given to me was they'll take teenage girls and the things that they say via social media, the things that they look at via social media, and they'll start serving them ads for Planned Parenthood based on what they or contraception, or based on the things that they scroll through. And they I for Overmortal, I had heard that TikTok was the place to promote music. And I was like, I don't want to do TikTok. It sounds really dumb, but I've got some songs I want to promote. I'll dabble in it. So I got on TikTok, and TikTok figured out really, really fast that I'm a middle-aged white male, and it started serving me like nothing but thirst traps for like I couldn't scroll past them fast enough to get them to go away, right? So like I had to like severely limit my TikTok use, because like you just, man, it like they figure you out really fast.
Well, and like, again, like, we're not keeping up with these guys, right? Yeah. Base Brian writes, it's going to push people to go outside and be social.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you want to talk to a real person, like, you can do that without a phone in your hand. Right now, they don't have the technology to make an Android that you don't know if that's a real person you're talking to or a robot, unless you cut it open.
Soon, though. I mean, soon. Like, and that's the other thing is, like, you know, they're able to reconstruct people's voices. They're able to do the deep fakes. Like, at a certain point in time, if you know, Big Brother wanted to come and ace out Uncle Buck and Joel Chaco, and then it just has it recreate this background over here, and then, you know, only those paying super close attention look up and they're like, wait a minute, like the Paraguayan flag was always on this side, not that side. You know, like that.
Why does El Chaco have 90 teeth?
Exactly. But going back to the brainwave fuckery,
right.
I don't know. Did you see the video of the lady in the UK who got arrested for praying outside of an abortion clinic?
No, so, that doesn't surprise me, but no.
Yeah. So Canada had this too. Like, we had this as well. Like in Alberta, where we were, you know, supposedly had a conservative premier who went to my church, who was supposed to be pro-life, but Anyways, so there's what they call a bubble zone, and it's like a block and a half you can't go within to pray or protest outside of an abortion clinic, and they have cameras with facial recognition software, and the cops will be they'll be it's like all this extra government security for these baby killers, and like it got to me because I remember when I would go and pray, we would go do the rosary outside of this clinic in Calgary. And like, like we get it enough. Like there's pushback, man. Like it's not easy. Like it's like this is not a fun place to be in any way. But I remember one time because it was like closed, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pray my rosary in front of the building. Maybe some of their like machines will like break tomorrow or something. I like went there and it was like a snowy day, and I just paced. I went back and forth, up and down the block, and just kept praying my rosary. And like, I saw this lady doing this, and she was praying outside of this abortion clinic, and she got arrested. And they said, "What were you doing? Like, were you praying?" And she's like, "It's just in my head." And they arrested her when she said, "In my head."
You know why? They will not risk the sacrifices to Molech for anything.
There we go. That's exactly it. Hey, so Tab is not on this episode tonight, and we've got Buck and Chaco going again. And that's the thing, man. Like that is the thing. They do not. Logic has left the building. You can't have an argument anymore. They don't allow you to have the argument anymore. And the other thing is like going back to the brainwave monitoring. At a certain point in time, like they're just gonna know, like he's not buying the bullshit. Like it's not working on him, right? Like he's rolling his eyes, but without rolling his eyes,
yeah.
And the thing is that if and when that does come, fine, it's over. It's over. What are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, like it's done at that point. There's none.
I'm not calling for violence, but I'm gonna walk like this, and if they happen to get in my way,
just saying that
in Minecraft,
that the really, really, really smart black AI scientist in T2, Miles Dyson, he had the right idea by, taking care of himself. Hey, that's it. That's what I said, right? Miles Dyson. I said he has to get Miles Dyson. Miles Dyson was the one who pushed the button, right? Like, or he was the one who set the thing off. That's right. Yeah. There we go.
Come full circle.
So it wasn't so he was the one who did it. So Yuval Noah Harari, I really hope you come to your senses at some point in time. So
I don't see that.
Oh, hey, look who's in the his house right now. Boy, if we could have voicemails today. Gentlemen, gentlemen, good to see you both again. I am doing such a disservice to this man's talent just by doing
good to see you both again. Hope you're both staying fabulous. Yeah, that's David the Voice Man, who we worked with him a little bit here and there early on in the show.
Dude, I kept him. He was
he did the Hot Choco thing for a while.
Part of Hot Choco. Yeah. That's a throwback. Yeah, on Hot Choco, I would send him quotes that would open a show, and he would read the quote like a bunch of different times, and then send me the all the different takes all in one thing.
What you choose, yeah.
And man, like if there was some really good zingers in there too that I could have left in, but I didn't because so trying to truncate my show. But good to see that guy on here. Awesome.
If you're listening to this show and you need to hire a voice actor for anything, go in the comments and find that guy and hire him.
David Hazuki. Yeah, the guy's awesome. So that's my issue is brainwave fuckery. And man. So
I guess that brings us to the middle of the episode, which you know what that means. This week's episode of Here's What I Don't Get is brought to you in part by the Ricada News Network. Definitely not fake news, because again, we don't have the button. So, so you sent me a little article that I sound condescending. I don't mean it that way. You sent me an article to read
from Newsweek.
Yeah, from Newsweek. So why don't you bring that in, and I'll bring in one news article, because normally
Sure.
someone else has these, and then but we are always not. So
Yeah.
show me
Okay.
what you
So,
got. Hit
all
me
right.
with your best
I
shot.
gotta open this up in my other window here. Oh, geez, now I lost you. Okay, hold on. Where are you? You're there. Oh, come on. Okay. This was from Newsweek, and it is an opinion article that came out on January 30th from Kevin Bass, who's a seventh year medical student, and he writes, and it's called "It's Time for the Scientific Community to Admit We Were Wrong About COVID and It Costs Lives." And I'm going to repeat that one just because of the. I actually I'm gonna repeat it, and I really want to hear it. I want to hear it from you. Get it ready. Get it ready. All right.
Oh, okay. I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So it's time for the scientific community to admit we were wrong and it cost lives. There it is. There's the smug laugh.
Oh God! See, I was thinking like the taste of victory in your mouth, like a fine
Oh no,
whiskey
this
or a
is smug laugh
cigar.
time. This one's
Yeah,
smug laugh time.
this was I told, not just I told you so. This was I fucking told you so time.
Yeah,
Right?
but yeah, but nobody's gonna read this. So it's I'll read it. He says, as a medical student and researcher, hang on. Unless he's a professional researcher, you're not allowed to do your own research, buddy. Even if you're a medical student. See, he's not even a doctor, so we're not supposed to listen.
The AI researched it for him, so we're fine.
As a medical student and researcher, I staunchly supported the efforts of the public health authorities when it came to COVID-19. I believed that the authorities responded to the largest public health crisis of our lives with compassion, diligence, and scientific expertise. I was with them when they called for lockdowns, vaccines, and boosters. I was wrong. We in the scientific community were wrong, and it cost lives. I can see now that the scientific community, from the CDC to the WHO to the FDA and their representatives, repeatedly overstated the evidence and misled the public about its own views and policies, including on, and he's got hyperlinks. I'm not going to go to those, but on natural versus artificial immunity. I knew that one right off the bat. School closures. Yeah, we all knew that was not a good idea. And disease transmission, aerosol spread. Remember that one? Mask mandates and vaccine effectiveness. And then he's got hyperlinked and safety. See, this is the thing. You never had the data for the safety. You never had the data for the safety. You never had long-term data. You never had it. You still don't have it. You still don't have it. And it says, especially among the young. All of these were scientific mistakes at the time, not in hindsight. Amazingly, fuck you. Amazingly, some of these obfuscations continue to the present day. But perhaps more important than any individual error was how inherently flawed the overall approach of the scientific community was. Oh, what was that? And continues to be. It was flawed in a way that undermined its efficacy and resulted in thousands, if not millions, of preventable deaths. I'm going to let that one hang out there for a little bit. You undermined its efficacy, dude. You didn't do anything efficacious. Everything you did fucking turned to shit. Anyways, you're gonna say something here. I want to hear it.
Remember it's been a couple of months back now. I'm sure it got talked about on the show, but they started talking about, hey, it's time to start talking about COVID amnesty. Remember that?
Yes.
Remember that article?
Yeah. Yep.
Here's the thing about COVID amnesty. This bullshit killed my best friend. That's not a joke. That's not a punchline. I'm fucking furious. So I'm going to drop the Uncle Buck charade for a second and just say some things from my heart, and we can bleep them out if we have to. There will be no COVID amnesty. There will be COVID Nuremberg. You're all going to burn. Not in Minecraft. You're all going to burn. It's time. Oh, it's time. Oh, it's time. I had to say goodbye to my best friend.
It's that's about as hard as it gets, like, because in our world it's like, my brother lost his job, my mom lost her job, my sister-in-law lost her job, I moved to another country, and what was done was unforgivable. We have to forgive in some way, but
Sure.
not without the resulting justice that comes with it.
Yeah.
So
there's that.
I'm going to scroll down a bit here, but what bothers me is he goes here and he starts to admit, he's like, now this guy gets into the race stuff, which pisses me off, because it's like, for example, like in Calgary, we had our mayor before I left, and we had people that would go to these rallies, and they were anti-lockdown rallies, and this mayor went out and said that they were thinly veiled white supremacy rallies, which is absolute horseshit. Because dude, if you ever step foot into a Catholic church, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a very multicultural experience.
Right.
And so we had people from our church that were going to these, and I know for a fact it had nothing to do with white supremacy. And if there were anybody there that was acting like that, they were probably glowing in the dark. Yeah. So he writes here later in the thing, he says, our emotional response and ingrained partisanship prevented us from seeing the full impact of our actions on the people we are supposed to serve. We systematically minimized the downsides of the interventions we imposed without the input, consent, and recognition of those forced to live with them. No, you shut us off. Like you didn't listen to the input or without our input, like you blatantly shut us off. In so doing, we violated the autonomy of those who would be most negatively impacted by our policies: the poor, the working class, small business owners, Blacks and Latinos, and children. These populations were overlooked because they were made invisible to us by their systematic exclusion from the dominant corporatized media machine that presumed omniscience. Maybe I'm just not up to speed enough on why race needed to be brought into there, because again, I don't see why. I don't see why. Most of us did not speak up in support of alternative views, and many of us tried to suppress them. When strong scientific voices like world-renowned Stanford professors John Ioannidis, Jay Bhattacharya, and Scott Atlas, or the University of California, San Francisco professors Vinay Prasad and Monica Gandhi, sounded the alarm on behalf of vulnerable communities, they faced severe censure by relentless mobs of critics and detractors in the scientific community. Not just the scientific community, by the way. Your neighbors, my neighbors, people in the community, people with their phones when you went to a secondhand store and didn't have your mask on for your nose. Often not on the basis of fact, but solely on the basis of differences in scientific opinion. It wasn't even a difference of scientific opinion, pal. It was a scientific draconianism. When former President Trump pointed out the downsides of intervention, he was dismissed publicly as a buffoon. And when Dr. Anthony Fauci opposed Trump and became the hero of the public health community, we gave him our support to do and say what he wanted, even when he was wrong, which was often.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Trump, he was right at the beginning when he talked to 60 Minutes and said that a mask doesn't do jack shit. Trump was not remotely perfect, nor were the academic critics of consensus policy, but the scorn that we laid on them was a disaster for public trust in the pandemic response. Our approach alienated large segments of the population from what should have been a national collaborative project. There's never going to be a national collaborative project ever again. Ever again. Like there's no collaboration. It's gone forever until the great divorce. And we paid the price. The rage of those marginalized by the expert class, exploded onto and dominated social media, lacking the scientific lexicon to express their disagreement. Many disagree. Now that's bullshit again. Buck, do you remember when I was on Facebook and I went on my anti-mask rally and I went on just a rant tear and I put every single scientific study that showed that masks don't do sweet fuck all
Right.
with this kind of thing. I went boom, boom. I listed about 39 of them. And then, and then I did the same thing. It was frustrating. It was really frustrating because you're trying to get that out there and everybody says, oh, like all they throw back at you is like, oh, it's 5G conspiratard. And you're like, I didn't say anything about that. I didn't say anything about that. 5G is something I don't love, but yeah. So anyways, I'm going to cut that one off because it'll just get us more and more mad. But I will go to the end here. And he says, it's okay to be wrong and admit where one was wrong and what one learned. Did you learn anything? Like, I'm feeling like you're just like this. You're one variant away from being a dickhead again.
I know what I learned.
Exactly. The mask slipped off, didn't it? Yet I fear that many are too entrenched in groupthink and too afraid to publicly take responsibility to do this. They're never going to. Look, this guy is a rarity. This guy is a unicorn, which brings me to. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the only way that anyone is going to accept any responsibility for what's happened is when it is forced upon them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't mean vigilantes. Don't take me the wrong way.
But
like
like
someone
class
somewhere,
action. Yeah.
Something or some God comes down from the sky and punishes everyone for what they've done. I don't know. Like it's very infuriating that there's not a I know I understand to be careful what I wish for when I say this, but there's not an overarching authority to say no, this was wrong, and the people who foisted this upon humanity need to be punished. And I get like that's teetering to globalism. I'm not in favor of globalism.
There's only one. There's only one.
Well, you and I know where I'm going with this, but
yeah. There's only one that knows how to do that properly.
Yeah. So,
I brought in a fish news, but I feel like I've gone along on everything from my issue to the other news thing. So why don't we skip to the thing you were going to do? Your news piece.
So in other news, Lisa, what's her name? Loring. I had it pulled up and then I didn't. Because it's what I do. It's where's the RNN portal? Lisa Loring, the original Wednesday Addams, dies at 64 after a massive stroke. So you remember when the whole Wednesday show came out and everyone was so like, I was a big Addams Family fan when I was a kid because the movie came out with Raul Julia and Christina Ricci, and it was great. And then the new Wednesday show came out and it was like, and I got really, really, really sick of seeing that chick. Well, now Wednesday's dead, so get over her.
It's funny you brought up about like the nostalgia of that movie and stuff like this. Like, I remember the show being in reruns when I used to be a bat boy for the Calgary Cannons baseball team when I was a kid. And I just remember what the show was on in the locker room, and there was a scene where Wednesday was like doing some sort of dance routine with Lurch.
Yeah, with Lurch.
Yeah, and
they did a little shimmy thing. Yeah,
and all the players, they just like stopped what they were doing to cheer on this TV version of Wednesday Addams. Like, you go, girl! Like, look at this moves. Look at this girl go. Hey. So in honor of Laura is her name. Repose of the soul for Laura. May God have mercy on her. And 64 is not that old.
Not old at all.
And a stroke. Won't comment. But the it's funny you brought up about the nostalgia factor. So like, I mean, we're a few years apart. We're a few years apart. but not
Only a
super
few.
far apart. Yeah, only a few. And for me, the Addams Family always reminds me of MC Hammer.
Yes.
Because MC Hammer had the Addams Family
The
theme
Adam's
song for
Groove. Yeah.
Adam's Groove, and I think it was for the
Ba-da-ba,
second movie. It was a good
ba-da-ba.
one.
It's for the first one.
Was it for the first one? Are you
Yeah.
sure?
And
Okay.
because I used to
Okay.
jam that. That was my jam. I had that tape.
Yeah, and the thing is like I saw him live in concert. So between Vancouver and Calgary, it's like about a 9-hour drive through the mountains and stuff, maybe 11 hours if you're making stops. So it seemed to me that like when they were booking this thing, they timed it so that he was coming through Peach Fest, which was in Penticton, which is near a place called like Kelowna. It's like the wine country of British Columbia. It's like just gorgeous. Like this, we used to go every year for like to the lake out there. And one year, I remember listening to the radio and like they came on the air and they were like, yeah, we have a big announcement to make. We have a surprise concert happening like tomorrow at Peach Fest in this field, like the soccer field, this Queens Field or whatever in Penticton. And tickets are on sale. Like, and I remember I went to my parents. I was like, please, like, can I go to that? That'd be awesome. Cause I think it was like 1990 or something. Like it was, 90, maybe 92. Yeah. And he was just about to, like, he'd peaked already. He was already just about to go down the other side of the mountain.
But
like
Too Legit was already happening.
No, see Too Legit was being like feathered out there during this tour. So like my first time I heard Too Legit to Quit was at this concert. But I still remember he did the I remember those hand signals. He did the Addams Family song when he was there. And this is the thing, like people say how much MC Hammer sucks, but like from a live performance perspective, that guy killed it. Like he had like, I haven't seen anything like it. Like he had like 40 dancers on stage and they were all talented. Like it was like, that's why he went bankrupt. He had like way too many like people to pay.
He did it too good.
Yeah. And it was great. And he had this one dancer guy that was with him who had this kind of weird triangular hairstyle. Like it was like, like he was wearing like a pyramid, like on its side, on his head. And he was like the craziest, most talented guy in the group in terms of dancing. And his nickname, they just called him No Bones. Like these No Bones. He's, No Bones. And No Bones would do these crazy dance moves on it. But I still remember, if you go back and you find the video of the Addams Family Groove on YouTube, No Bones is in it and he dances with Thing. So he's like, like Thing is going back and forth. And then No Bones is doing this crazy thing where he's got like his legs around his like head and he's like walking around on his hands and doing something weird. And I'll never forget it. So I don't know where I was going with that. Just awesome MC Hammer concert in Penticton, which ended in a riot.
Cool song.
Which ended in a riot for some reason. My mom got me out of there in time, but it ended in a riot.
Even better.
Yeah.
Anytime you can combine the Addams Family, MC Hammer, and violence, I think we've reached.
And not even in Minecraft.
I think history might have peaked right there, just to be honest. If you could find a way to throw Ghostbusters in on that, I think we would be all right.
I saw that. Okay, yeah. Merlot Williams writes, speaking of sad passings, Chaco will appreciate when I say RIP to Jay Briscoe. Them boys, man up, reach for the sky. So Briscoe, this is where it was a tag team of like high end. Like I think with Merlot Williams, you can correct me. They're mostly a Ring of Honor, right? Like Ring of Honor was their shtick. But these guys were badass. They were great on social media, and he passed away. And again, like case of the suddenlies, right? And
back to COVID,
yeah, dude. Like, we're gonna have to almost have in like the at the Oscars, when you used to watch the Oscars, how they would have like the in memoriam section. We're gonna basically get to a point where we're gonna have an in memoriam like every freaking week.
I was gonna say like, or I thought you were gonna say we're gonna have an in memoriam suddenly.
Well, the two go hand in hand. So
I mean,
yeah, man.
At this point, I'm thinking maybe we need to do bonus episodes of just Buck and Chaco where we talk about things that we can't talk about on the show. So
Yeah.
we can talk about like we can just really dive deep because that sounds like a lot of fun to me right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, it was a bad car wreck. Oh man. And that's also like Macho Man.
That was also
I
sudden.
think yeah, well, yeah, very sudden. I'm pretty sure Macho Man Randy Savage died in a car wreck. I think he had a heart attack while driving and crashed and like so
Too many Slim Jims.
Man, he's a guy that I wish was still around for sure, man. Because his I would love to hear him do some shoot interviews. But oh man, yeah. So shall we close the news bag up, or do we have
let's
anything
do
else
it.
to add? Oh wait, one was it?
Right.
You were just. I wanted one more thing. You said about like so Wednesday's dead. So out of respect for the actress, they should do the right thing and cancel that terrible, awful show. From
I think you're
streaming.
right because they definitely got that show all wrong. They got the characters all wrong.
Yep. Cancel that one. Cancel Velma. Cancel them all.
Cancel Netflix. Cancel television. Cancel the internet.
Cancel.
Well, maybe not the internet
on the screen. Except not this one. But
honestly, I think World War III, and because they've been talking about the global reset, right? The Great Reset for a while now.
Yep.
But I think World War III and the EMP, just like shutting it all down, would be a godsend at this point. Just reset society. Like this is a paperweight. This thing is a paperweight, and we just go next door when we want it. Instead of a podcast, which it's counterproductive. Where it's a conflict of interest. We're a podcast, but instead of a podcast, you go talk to your neighbor, and you hear his opinions and you hear his hot takes on things, and then you disagree with him and you yell and scream and it's fun, and then like you have a barbecue.
I'm just
and your family's involved.
I'm just thinking about like my neighbors who could barely speak Spanish, and we definitely could get along in that. Actually, we talk about this all the time. Like when shit hits the fan, like this is why we're also like really nice to all the Paraguayans that live near us. Like over the top
the
nice.
Gringos in the area. Yeah, I got
over the top nice. Because again, like all they have to do is like just somebody comes in and is like, "Where's the Canadian at?" And like they'll just like be a train of people pointing, like knowing that their cousin told them one time where the Canadians live. But they'll know that we have more chickens now, which means more eggs. We have plenty of fish.
They can come to you in the egg shortage and the fish.
But yeah, I for one welcome the shutdown, if only for a few days, so we can kind of chill out.
No. A solid year. I want to sell. Listen, it's going to suck for me when the electricity goes out because of my CPAP, but that's the only thing I'm dreading.
No, see, I would hate the CPAP going on, but I would also hate I wouldn't be able to talk to any of my family at all for a very long time. I was like, I might lose it. We'll see.
I understand that. Like you got your dad and everything going on there. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and close out the
news bag.
The news, because I told that Buck an hour and a half, and we're 15 minutes away from that. So we need to.
It's a Joel Chaco episode. It's probably going to go for 6 hours this time.
Hey, you know what? I mean, Nick Ricada does it, so why not?
Exactly.
All right. So this has been the Ricada News Network. Definitely not fake news, especially not now. So with that being taken care of, our legal obligations and our sponsor obligations, that still doesn't take care of what?
Paying the bills.
Paying the bills, which I am definitely behind on. So for that, we have patreon.com/HWIDG, which stands for
Here's What I Don't Get.
And also all the other things that Tab spouts out of memory and muscle memory that I don't remember. So Tab
Subscribe Star.
Subscribe Star, and that, and the thing where you can like super chat us right now, but no one's doing it. So Tab, I want you to edit the episode right now and just drop that in as a voiceover and Ex Machina, and then we'll go on from there.
He won't. He won't.
I
He'll
know that's
just
the
go
best
in.
part. He won't do it. He'll just let us fester in our own filth, which is what we do
That's-
anyway.
That's one of my
It's the
favorite things when we would do the bucket Chaco thing. Is like
Oh,
we'd
get it
have
in
all these
post
like
and
we'll
then
get to
never
it
do it.
later, and it just was ended up on the regular episode. Oh, we'll fix it in post, and then we don't.
And then I would always use the excuse, well, it adds texture to the show.
Yeah.
Makes the show
Rage Scholar
crunchy.
writes, lockdowns
so
were the year for
podcast-
nerds. Oh, go ahead.
Podcasts are like underwear. They're not supposed to be crunchy. So anyway, so thank you to everyone who subscribes to our Patreon. We have several tiers. I don't remember them off the top of my head. We were going to do our homework and have them where we could read it off, and we didn't do it. So please just
know.
go
Do the
to
big
our
one.
Patreon.
I want to see some creative guys in there. Do the big one. Do the big
like
one. Yeah.
because that's funny because like we had the No Hate November where we
Mm-hmm.
all had to transform our don't gets into do gets because we were
Right.
lazy.
Yes.
So that was really fun. They say that necessity is the mother of invention. And I really subscribe to that theory. So really throw us a curveball and make us work for it, Tabs,
Yeah.
man, I'm so fired.
Dude,
I'm
I'm
also
ready.
really drunk.
Yeah, I dare somebody to haze code our our show for a month. Just like somebody out there haze code our show for a month where nobody can swear and everything has to be like PG or G. I would just imagine the mental like
Our feed is just
tactic.
replaced with episodes about nothing but Christianity and how based Christ was. Yeah. So go ahead and go to patreon.com/HWIDG and recommend all of these things on our behalf because we can't do it. And we will it'll be interesting for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on to my issue. And by the way, I am steaming at this point.
Oh, me too.
So this is
okay. Oh, you're like figuratively steaming, whereas I'm like literally.
what are some other euphemisms that I could use at this point? My lips don't work. I have not been this happy in a long time. So here's what I don't get.
Ding, ding, ding.
Mistaken unprofessionalism. So this one happened month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. I don't remember. But I decided to hang on to it for a special occasion. And unfortunately, in this occasion, I don't have the dongle to connect my phone to my interface, so I can't play the voicemail. But here's what happened.
Can you play it over your mic? I mean, could you just could we try?
That would take way too much effort, and I'm way too drunk. So and it wouldn't really add to the story, right?
All right.
So
all right.
I will tell it in such a,
maybe with the accent. We'll see. But okay.
with my accent, with the one that we used to have on the Patreon, to say 10
Right.
words. So I'm at work one day and I start getting I get a phone call from a number I don't recognize. Now we're all familiar with this, as you know.
Mhm.
As you know. And it's usually something along the lines, well, maybe not you in Paraguay, but as you know, it's one of those things like, hi,
Especially here.
we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. And so you click end call and you move about your day.
Yeah.
But one voicemail sounded like it was from my drummer at church, whose name is Matt. And he was like, hey, man, I was just wanting to ask you about Saturday. And he said something like, that's a really interesting voicemail greeting you've got, whatever. I need to ask you some questions about Saturday. And, no big deal. Just call me when you get a chance. And I was like, well, I don't recognize Matt from this number. I have his number in my phone. What's going on here? So I text him, hey, man, did you text me or did you call me from a new number? He says, no. I was like, man, someone who's like an AI impersonation of you just called me from this other number. And it's really weird. He goes, no, wasn't me. And I thought maybe he was asking me about like our home church that Saturday or whatever. So I go about my day. And then like a week later, I get a voicemail notification from my phone. And phones are notoriously bad for like delaying notifications, especially mine. So I start going through a couple of voicemails that I haven't checked before. And one is this lady. And I had to piece together what was happening through this exchange. So to start out, I am married. And Aunt Buck, as we call her, who is the love of my life, and I adore her, and I don't know what I'd do without her. When we first got married, I was being silly one night, and I recorded a voicemail greeting. So when you call my number and it goes to voicemail, what you would hear is, "Hi, you've reached Uncle Buck. I can't come to the phone right now because I'm tickling my wife." And I was actually tickling my wife, and she was laughing and giggling, and it was a whole thing. I said, "If you'll leave me a voicemail, I'll call you back at my earliest convenience." It was just being silly, and I never changed it because I loved it, and I forgot about it because I never called my own voicemail. Who does?
Right.
So, and that's been, we got married in 2011, so that's been like 12 years ago, right? Almost 12 years ago.
Okay. So it's an old voicemail.
Like, my voice sounds different. I sound younger, and I was younger. I was in my late 20s. It was a good time in my life. So anyway, and people have commented over the years, like, and it'll catch me by surprise every time, like, "Oh, that's the funniest voicemail I've ever heard," whatever. So, I get a voicemail notification like a week after the guy that sounds like my drummer calls me, and it's not my drummer. He's like, I don't know what's going on. So, from church, not over mortal. So, I get this voicemail, and it's several seconds of silence, followed by a woman's voice who says, "I cannot believe how unprofessional this is." And following the events of the voicemail, I figure, based on their conversation and the exposition that takes place in the conversation, like in a movie, I figure out that what's happened is, this is a company that has, they're trying to do company insurance for their employees, and it's open enrollment, and they've got, like, Colonial Insurance is doing their insurance for their employees, and they've got their rep at Colonial Insurance, and somehow, by
Your
some
number.
hilarious accident, my number has been substituted for the number of their rep at Colonial Insurance. So they've called me Uncle Buck, the worst possible candidate, thinking that they have gotten a rep from Colonial Insurance. And so, and of course, then it's, "Hi, you've reached Uncle Buck. I can't come to the phone right now because I'm tickling my wife in a deliberately sexual nature." Like, we were newlyweds. This was clearly a sexual thing, and I'm making a joke as a newlywed. So, which is not something that you would do with your professional phone number. I get that. So this lady
Depending
proceeds
on
to
your
go on a
profession.
rant. What'd you say?
I said, depending on your profession.
Well, if you're OnlyFans, that's a little bit different, but I don't have an
Exactly, yeah.
OnlyFans.
Yet.
There's no such thing as www.buckhub.com. That's a lot funnier than it should be. So anyway, so I just listened to this because I like, butt dial voicemails are fascinating to me. I don't know why. Because you, like, if someone butt dials you and then you hear what they're saying, maybe I'm a voyeur. I don't know. So I
my
listened
favorite
to
is
this
when they
woman.
talk shit.
Yeah, well, that's precisely what happened. So this
Yeah.
woman goes on to talk about how unprofessional I am, that they're trying to call Colonial Insurance, who, by the way, I'm not trashing Colonial Insurance, obviously.
Sponsor the show.
Sponsor the show, Colonial Insurance. Go to HWIDG.com/Colonial Insurance to get $10
Get
off
25
of
bucks off your first. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm really smashed right now. So anyway,
I'm sober
so
as can be.
good for you. I wish I had that affliction. I'm a little too far gone at this point. So she's like, is talking to her coworker, and either she doesn't realize that she's being recorded or she's doing it on purpose. But the irony is, and this whole conversation, I can't believe this guy's so unprofessional, talking about blah, 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 blah. The whole thing. She's a Karen. She sounds like she's about 80 years old. And the guys in the background talking smack back, and they're both talking smack about me. I'm like, do you realize the mistake you're making? I have a podcast with literally tens of listeners. So, like your company's just, I'm going to call Colonial Insurance and find out who they were. And then like, hey man,
Colonize
like,
them.
your customers trashing my podcast. I really think we've got a beef. We've got a petty internet beef going on here, and we're going to use that. We're going to milk that for content.
Is that the level we're at now? It's picking fights with insurance companies.
No, we're not Dick Masterson yet. So anyway, I better take another one of these. Hold on.
All right.
So it struck me that this woman is on is talking about my unprofessionalism while at the same time she is being unprofessional. What hypocrisy! What blatant, flagrant, unmitigated hypocrisy. I just,
So
and I know you're the consummate professional, right? Like you are a professional writer, you're a professional podcaster. You somehow have tolerated me for all of these years.
I'm
I
not
don't
that
understand why.
professional. I'm sitting in my pajama shorts.
Yeah,
While
but
I'm
the
working.
camera's above the waist. We're not like Tab
Oh yeah,
Burt where we have
yeah.
a cat sitting on his dick on the camera. So and the
No,
guy on the podcast talking about
funny.
gunts.
Well,
So
this is the
go
thing
ahead.
though. I actually I hate voicemail now. I never used to hate it, but I hate it now. And I really hate it. I don't leave voicemails. I don't check my voicemails. And then I decided one time because, like, you know, all my phone plans just seemed to go to a voicemail, and I always had to have it set up or whatever. And I would just straight up tell people in my thing, like, don't bother leaving a voicemail. I will never check it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna check it, and that's that. In fact, like, I knew a guy who I worked with who was really smart about this. He just let his voicemail inbox get full and just left it full. That's how he was able to
Genius.
just left it full, didn't delete
Absolute genius.
anything, took all of the like automatic deletes, like automatic time deletes off, took them all off, and just let it fill up. But like, you know, because there was a point in time where I'd be like, you know, I'd say I would like record it very professionally, like, you know, you've reached, and I give my number, and then I'd do that,
And your legal name. Yeah.
yeah. And I would just try to tell them, you know, like, please leave a number if it's or leave a message. If it's really important, send me a text and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Cause I only check my voicemail once a week. Like I was still trying to pretend that I cared about it at that point, but,
Yeah. I mean, who
but nobody
does?
listens to that. Nobody listens to that. But it's funny because you had this like, you had a crossed wire there, it seems, you know, with this fellow from the insurance company.
Yeah, that was the
And
other thing. If they were so
What?
professional, why were they calling the wrong number?
Exactly. But like,
Ah,
my take on it was, I will never forget when my email somehow got mixed up with somebody named Jolene in Cincinnati, Ohio,
Jolene Chaco.
something like that. So it was close enough to my name, and she was due for some sort of like checkup for her Honda at a Honda dealership in order to maintain her like warranty. And I got to watch this saga of her getting like appointments booked, sent to me trying to tell them, like, you're going to have to find this lady, like, call a number or something, because these ain't getting to her. And then having an employee like disregard what I said and be more angry and shitty at me for not showing up to these appointments. And this went on for a year, like an entire
That's a long
year.
time.
And so I ended up just like getting more and more creative with my like replies back to them to try to get them to
Yeah.
knock it off. It never worked. And every time, like, they would just like lay in on the guilt, like, we set at a time, you didn't come for the time, you're gonna lose this, like all this stuff. And I'm like, this Jolene is just out there driving her Honda, enjoying life without this garbage
Without
over
her
her
warranty.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her warranty died out probably one time when she needed it, and
The one time they needed to contact her about her extended warranty, and she
she wasn't there. And it was like, oh man, like, yeah, I hate getting my stuff mixed up that way. It's the worst. It's even, I find it worse than, like, you know, the person who moved out from your old house, like from your house you're living in, that like you keep return to sender, like this person
Yeah.
moved, and it just keeps
Yes, yes,
coming
yes.
and keeps coming. So, you know, yeah,
Well, that's funny because the people who used to live at this house, we
mhm,
bought it from them, and there's a whole huge story. I'll tell you if we ever do another Buck and Chaco.
sure.
There's a total Holy Ghost thing, but the people who used to live here, they're dead. They were elderly,
Oh
and
yeah.
they've since passed away. God, God bless them.
Yep.
And I still get the elderly man. We'll call him Richard.
Okay.
I still get his mail from the NRA for
Oh,
his membership,
badass.
which
Yeah.
yeah, oh dude, he plainly was very based.
Okay.
Um, and when I met the couple, he reminded me a lot of my grandfather, so it was a very emotional thing. But yeah, we still get their mail from time to time, even though they are no longer with us. So I get that one.
Oh man. Well, have you gotten any other voicemails like that in the last little while? Like, I mean, do you check your voicemail still at all, or
I don't get
um,
very many because I'm unimportant and nobody calls me. It's one of those things. And there was a point that you had made at some point, but I had a story to tell about it, and now it's gone.
sorry about that.
Well, it's one of those things. I was going to let you finish your point, and then I just, woo, I'm gone. So
Well, so yeah, so
I guess
we
that's
don't.
it.
I guess I think you are making it for that hour and a half that you said.
We're at 1:30:23 right now.
Not
Mm.
bad. Hey. So if you had an over under on a Joel Chaco episode going over 2 hours, hope you went with the under because we don't even have any voicemails to check unless anybody else in the chat over here wants to throw any questions in that we can answer in after the outro. I think we'll be wrapping up.
So let's go ahead and pretend to do an outro because again, we don't have a soundboard. So
Sure.
this has been Here's What I Don't Get.
I'm Joel Chaco. I'm
I'm
El
Uncle
Chaco.
Buck. El Chaco branding. I'm Uncle Buck.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye. If you would like to call into the Here's Why I Don't Get voicemail, dial us in at 704. What is it? I don't even remember anymore.
You're asking the wrong guy.
I used to know. Hey, Tab, when you're editing this episode and you're probably really mad at me by now, go ahead and just drop in a VO, which you're not going to do, of the voicemail number. I used to have it memorized. Remember when we used to do this by rote? It was just
Yeah.
boilerplate, and we'd be like, or even on Buck and Chaco, we'd be like, hey, if you want to call into the Buck and Chaco radio show voicemail hotline, call us at 704 and tell us what he taught you. Everyone call in and tell us what you don't get. We do have
we have a question.
We have a
All
question.
right.
What is the water like in Paraguayan life? In the city, not from the well.
Okay. So I've gotten mixed feedback on that one. We used to buy our water. So we had like a water guy that would come and like we get these giant big, the big water cooler type bottles brought to our house. And we always get these like really cool soda water dispensers that if you ever watched like the Three Stooges when you're growing up and they like spray each other with like a seltzer thing, like we had those. Yeah. And they're great. They were so great. We had a separate, like when we bought the place, we got like a second fridge, like an old fridge that came with it. And so that just became like our drink fridge. And in it was just filled with these water bottle things. So we would actually pay it for a service for it. But when it comes out of the tap, well, not as bad as Mexico. So like in Mexico, like you don't even, yeah, like in Mexico, you don't even want to like brush your teeth with, from what I've heard, depending on where you're at. Like unless you've been there for a while and you've built up
you're used to it. Yeah, you've got a tolerance.
Yeah, you don't even want to like brush your teeth with you usually use like bottled water just to like wet your toothbrush. But I brought this up to my doctor down here. It was a really good doctor, and I was like, so is it? Well, el doctor, he was Paraguayan born, but grew up in the U.S. and was trained in San Antonio, and so and we love him because he speaks English, and he's good at being a doctor. And anyways, so I remember I asked him about this, and I was like, okay, so like, is this safe to drink there? And he's like, there's so much chlorine at their treatment plants to clean this up that yeah, it's safe enough to drink, but I just, I don't like the taste for the, they don't like the taste of it, so
It's like you're drinking bleach.
I guess if like you're in a pinch and you have to drink the Paraguayan, like Asunción water, I guess. But then you're also dealing with like, one of the things that when I lived in Calgary, when we moved into our house, we found out like one of the things that was like a knock on our like property value was we had the PVC piping, like the plastic piping. And there was like a grade of it that like, they don't use anymore because it, if when you're like building and you leave it outside for too long in the sun, it'll deteriorate the plastic a bit and then it'll leach a bit.
Sure. Yeah. Yellowing. Yeah.
But down here, everything's plastic pipe. Everything's plastic pipe. Like we pipe all over the place. Like me and my my custodian, my guy, my ranchero, my employee. I'll just be like, hey man, like let's tie this in over here, and like just like he'll be like on it, and then I'll go and like write an article, I'll come out, and he's already like dug a whole trench like across the property and like laid the like plastic piping in, and like all of a sudden now we have a water faucet on the other side of the yard, and it's awesome.
That's awesome though.
It's so cool.
Really cool.
And I buy this.
Go ahead.
All right. So it's out of the honor of the Jinx code, because like my kids play that all the time. What's cool is I just buy this plastic pipe all the time. I just have like a whole like coil of it just sitting, at all times. To just be like, when I feel like making water go to one place of the one part of the property to the other, I was like, yeah, let's just do that. And then like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, because like when you were talking to Tab about water, with water pressure and stuff, like I was just like, oh, I wanted to like comment so bad because all of our stuff comes from we have a really high powered water pressure pump that pumps out of our water well into our house, and then we fill it up to a giant water tank as well, so that if the power goes out, we still have water pressure and it comes out of there. Gotta love that cheap labor. You're right. Hey, he gets paid really well for here, and so
for here.
So the thing is that what we've learned out of this is like just the cool stuff we can do, like with just buying like cheap pumps and stuff like that. Like we're building a little cascading like waterfall thing. I'm building a water fountain, a little patio thing over here. And again, like all these things like back home that would like take like a lot of planning. You'd have to send off for approval to get, like approval from the city.
God, yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. Like now it's just like, one day if I wake up and feel like, let's have a fountain.
I want water over there.
Exactly.
Because reasons.
Well, so my guy, I'm just gonna call him Al from now on, because it's like a shortened version of his. I'm just gonna call him Al, right? So
Alberto,
Al's my right hand man, and he's like the coolest guy ever. And one of these days, maybe what I'll do is I'll interview him and then like video it, and then I'll put the subtitles in after the fact,
audio subtitles.
Yeah, I'll put in the subtitles. No, this won't be for like radio. This is just for bonus content or something. But like Al's the man. He's the man. We celebrated his birthday with fireworks the other night, and
awesome.
Anyways, he's got like contacts everywhere. Like everybody's got like buddies and like in this part of the country, like everybody's somebody else's cousin, and they all know each other. Like it's just like, that's why it's so easy to go, where's the German at? And they all point to that one place. Or where's the Canadian at? Oh, he's over there. Or where's the Ukrainian?
He's the one with all the water pipes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's the water man. So he was talking about how he's got a contact at the municipality who has like a backhoe, like to come and like dig holes and stuff if we want. And I'm going to take him up on it. Cause I was like, how much do I pay him for the day? And he's like, oh, what you want? Whatever you want to pay him, like pay for the fuel and then whatever you want.
Tacos.
Well, if tacos were a thing down here, I would probably, so like a daily rate would be like 70,000 guaranis, which is about $10 US. So I would do like 20 or 30, like really make it worth the guy's day, you know, and stuff like that. But what we're thinking of doing is we're thinking of having a like a pond, like another pond on the other side of the property dug out, so that like, because we have all these different types of like frogs and creatures and stuff that I would really like to have away from my house. So I want to have
That
like
way.
another part over there. But we've been learning about like food forests and all this kind of stuff. So we're thinking like what we're going to do is like food forests, you plant a whole bunch of different fruit trees, and you build up what's called swales. So it's like these mounds that, and then you direct the water so the water flows out and it goes around all these swales, so that like the trees can suck up as much water as possible. So
Yes.
like the next time that this digger guy comes by, I'm definitely, we've got a whole plan. I've got this like, you know, this whole plan over there. But on top of it, I'd actually, after we're done digging out this pond over in that corner, we want to put in a mini golf course.
Dude,
Yeah, I think
how many rich white guy tropes can you fulfill in one time?
Dude, it's, well, I have 4.5 hectares, which is like close to 12 acres. And like, I have I brought my golf clubs, but there ain't no golf course that I don't know how many friends that golf that are near me here. So I just like need to get like a whole bucket of balls. And we've been like, we're thinking of setting up a pitch and putt. And then we're like, well, if we set up a pitch and putt, let's also set up a, so that we can have the, set up the pitch and putt. So, and then maybe have the mini golf around the pitch and putt so we can go through it. So anyways, that's just me babbling about my property. This guy writes, "Oh,
It's
dude,
awesome, though.
it's kind of fun." He writes, Soberum writes, "Oh, dude, you are so lucky. Overpay everyone so they think you're dumb, but don't overpay so much. Criminals come by." Exactly. It's like, exactly. What you do is you got to be like the happy-go-lucky nice guy, but then like, you know, don't
overdo it.
Don't overdo it. You know, you got to find that happy medium. No, yeah, find that happy medium, or you figure out who to overpay and who not to overpay. Right? You overpay one guy to tell you how to not overpay the others. Does that make sense?
Yes. You have your kind of your guy in your pocket and not in theirs.
Yeah, you overpay the one guy, and then the other thing what you do sometimes is you go, okay, you go to your guy and you go like, look, we're gonna need more guys to work on this, but I don't want to be involved, right? Like I just don't want to be involved.
I'm not digging it with a shovel.
I'm not gonna do that.
You get more of your guys.
So yeah, it's $20 a day. Come on. So you get the guys together and like, and you say to them like, okay, dude, I'm going to give you like, this amount. And then you decide how much you want to pay these guys. You hire as many guys as you need to get this done.
You turn him on them.
Well, no, you just turn him into the foreman, right?
Yes.
And you turn him into the foreman. You're the foreman, right? Like, here's your budget and stay in budget, right? And then like, it works. Everybody's happy. Nobody's unhappy about this. It works for everybody. Everybody wins. You know, like
everybody wins.
When and then like on top of it, there's like certain jobs or certain things like oh, so the guys that were in my fish pond, like with the nets and stuff like that, and they were like up to here in my fish pond, like dragging the nets, and like they were in there for like 3 hours, like in different places trying to get all our fish out. And that guy, like afterwards, like 3 hours in the tank, and like I asked Al, and I was like, how much should I pay him? He's like 50,000 Guaranese. I was like, dude, that's like 10 Canadian dollars. I'm like, no, I'm going to give him like 100,000 and just a shitload of beer. Like I'm going to make his weekend like awesome. And I'm going to pay him double what you just told me. And like, you know, like, and then everybody wins. I got
everybody
the fish.
Wins.
Yeah. I got the fish. He got some beer. Yeah. Everybody wins.
Fish Fridays for everyone.
Exactly. So,
except Tab.
Until he comes down here. I'm going to cook him up some paku. So, any other questions from the? Are we going to close it up? Yeah, let's.
No, we're going to close it out because I have to pee so bad, and I am so drunk.
Dude, don't you know the lore? You have to pee your pants. Here's what I don't get.
So check it out. There is carpet in this basement. There's carpet down here. I'm not. I'm not peeing the carpet. I'm not doing
Okay,
it.
good
It's
stuff.
just
All
not gonna
right.
happen.
Sayonara, my good friend.
So this
It
has
was
been
always
Here's
a
What I Don't
pleasure.
Get.
I'm Joel Chaco.
I'm Uncle Buck. We're doing it again. That's why.
I'm El Chaco.
I'm Uncle Buck.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.